Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the June 26th Facilities Committee meeting. We have all members present, and I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0. Thank you. I need a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0. Thank you. Mr. Moore, additional bond funded projects for Forest Hills and East Elementary.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. We,
Morning.
as you recall, about a year ago, we started the discussion about some additional bond funds that became available through the selling of the 2022 bond. The premium that the county incurred when they sold the bonds allowed us to do additional projects at the Forest Hills and East Elementary sites. This is specifically to those projects. You can't just do something like, for instance, we can't use the money to work on the new moving East Union into the new Forest Hills building, but we can do any projects related to Forest Hills High School and East Elementary. So we have presented to you some items that we have discussed between staff with both East Elementary School administration and Forest Hills High School administration, and that we've discussed with staff here at central office. And we've got those projects listed before you, and be glad to answer any questions you may have about them.
I have a couple questions and a comment just for anyone that out there that's watching the meeting or the recording of this meeting. What this means is when the county and whoever they use went to market to actually sell bonds that were approved in this referendum, because of one of the reasons, because of the county's great financial standing, there was actually more demand for the bonds than anticipated. So it generated this premium. This is not an extra issuance of more bonds, incurring more debt. It is additional proceeds because of the demand for the bonds, is how this is generated. On East Elementary, Colin, I see additional furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Does that include any computers, say for the library, or any books or materials for updating the library?
We have in our project budget, Mr. Sides, we have line items for technology and for things like library books and other academic items that we would need. We've got that included in our project budget. This mainly focuses on actual furniture and the fixtures that we would need for the project. Now, we did have money in the original project budget for that.
Right.
We're basically increasing the amount of furniture fixtures to allow us to purchase things like you mentioned.
Okay. Artificial surface for play field. I get what that is, but let me just, artificial turf. Falling down, you're going to get extra scrapes or burns that you might otherwise not get on a regular grass field. Has that been considered as far as having a artificial turf play field rather than, say, sodding the play field to get it up to a natural grass quicker?
Right. Yeah, that's a very good question. That's a very good comment, and I'm going to let Mr. McManus chime in on that as well if he would like.
Is that question regarding East or Forest Hills? Or just in general?
Well, East specifically,
Okay.
but
On the play field, yeah, actually on the playground piece of it, Mr. Sides, what we run into a lot with our play fields is that they get so much use that they're almost, a lot of them are just turn into dirt. They just become hard to maintain a good stand of grass. And even when you put sod on it, it's the same condition. It's going to require, if you don't have it irrigated during the hot summer months, it's hard to maintain that standing grass on the play fields. We have had some experience with schools putting artificial turf down on the playfield areas. Mr. McManus, I'll let you chime in on any of that thing if you would like.
Hi, good morning, everyone. And sorry about that. My speaker cut out in the beginning, but I take it that we're talking about the artificial play area in the, excuse me, inside the track area. Is that right, Mr. Moore?
Correct. Yes.
Correct. And like Mr. Moore was saying, the amount of traffic that's out there, the artificial area would be the preferred method that we would like to use there, just with all of the running and everything that's going to occur out there on a daily basis. Because y'all, as you know, it's a very tight site, and they're going to be utilizing that space a lot.
And then you don't have to worry about rocks in the soil, irrigation, and any kind of maintenance, reseeding and fertilizing with the artificial turf, correct?
That is correct.
On Forest Hills High, some of these items may be already anticipated in the regular bond funding, but we're doing, I noticed some the track replacement in the artificial field. Do we anticipate or have we planned for any press box upgrades?
We would anticipate that to be part of a renovation to the home side bleachers. We've had some discussion with administration there about some different options, but we would consider that to be part of that line item.
Are we going to flip like we talked about, expanding what's now the visitor side and making that the new home side, since there would be there'll be another entrance to the stadium, correct? Over on the new high school side. Are we going to turn that into the home side as far as bleachers and then just leave the press box over there and that become the visitor side?
So that's to answer your question, that's not off the table. We would consider anything. We haven't gone to the extent yet to try to figure out what our options are. If we get approval to move forward with these, then we'll have in-depth discussion. But I will say that I've had the conversation with administration there about that possibility. So okay. I think that's something we would definitely consider in the grand scheme of all these options here.
Okay. Are we going to start the artificial turf for the football field and the track after this next football season? Or are we going to wait until after the 25-26 season?
I think I would like to defer that question, Mr. Sides, just until I can have discussions with county staff to find out what the funding piece looks like, because we need to have that funding in place before we start a design or before we start the bidding process. So I need to better understand when those funds would be available, honestly, okay, before I can answer that question. We're on a fairly tight time frame to get it done now, because in order to do that, we need to start construction in December, which means we need to be starting design
pretty darn quick.
Basically now, yes.
Okay. In part of the stadium upgrade, are there any items included for upgrading, if needed, the lighting or the sound system as well?
I don't know, Danny, if we've got anything like that on the CIP. I can't answer to that effect, but we're not going to do these kind of stadium enhancements and not make some improvements to lights, because I don't know if they're on the schedule to be replaced.
I think the lighting was updated there.
Okay.
Correct. We already have updated lighting.
Okay. And replacing the track, we're not expanding additional lanes. We're just replacing the track, correct?
That's the intention. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. And when you, under the field house item, that includes equipment, weight machines, weights, whatever furnishings. are included in a new field house?
Well, it's not a new field, it's renovating the existing field house. The existing field house has 2 locker rooms. It basically has a varsity and a JV side. Visiting teams use the gymnasium locker room. There is there is a new weight room being built as part of the Forest Hills High School plan. They currently have been renovated an area inside the gymnasium building to use for a weight room because as of about a week ago, the weight room is being demolished. I was there last night, and they're taking it out as we speak. So there are plans for weight rooms in the new Forest Hills building.
Okay, all right. So that existing metal building at the end of the stadium there, that's being demolished.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just have one question on the Ag Tech building.
Mr. Moore, can you touch on the,
Oh, sorry.
You
Matthew.
go ahead. Well, I just have one question on the Ag Tech building and farmland. It says 25 acres plus barn. What is the 25 acres?
So we are looking at some different options there. Again, without any approval, we have not pursued or had conversations. There are a couple areas around there we would like to pursue the possibility of some land, including what we are using now. So again, that's a very, very open-ended item that we have not pursued in depth just until we had further guidance on what we needed to do. We have discussed it with CTE and with the agricultural extension folks in Union County about the options there.
Okay.
Yeah, because farming 25 acres is going to take some serious equipment.
Well, would probably be mainly pasture land, Mr. Sides, just for the animals. You know, talking to Mr. Davis, they're looking at cows, probably some sheep, goats, and it's just a matter of what the program is going to entail to see what we need there.
Well, if it's animals, who's going to take care of them during the summer when nobody's in school?
Well, they've got it would be, I don't know exactly how that works now, but they're doing it. They're currently doing it now with teachers and I think some students that kind of participate during the summer as well.
Oh, okay.
Todd, you had a question?
yeah, Mr. Moore, can you touch on the overage or the project cost overage? What is that? Is that anticipated or is that needs not yet identified? What makes that number up?
No, those are actually reflective of where the bids came in, Mr. Price. When we bid it last year, and when we went to the county and said the projects are both, one of them significantly over budget, one slightly over budget, they said we can fund that from the bond premium. So those are basically already committed dollars. And the contract already reflects these amounts, and the county has given us direction that they will fund that from the project overage. I'm sorry, from the bond premium.
So the smaller project of the two, East Elementary, is farther over budget than the larger project of the high school.
Yes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then the contingency we had built into
Well,
the
for
bond price. Oh, go ahead, Todd. Oh, go ahead.
For the East Union or East Elementary, is that one trade or is that a combination or?
No, that's
a big number.
the entire contract combined. It's all the trades, and it's really reflective of the scope. And I think we felt like we had better pricing. And I'm going from memory, but the Forest Hills project was bid after the East Elementary. So what kind of happened is we feel like that the subcontractors got more aggressive if they were not successful on the East Elementary project. They for all intents, they sharpened their pencil, if you will, when it came to the Forest Hills project. They went after it more aggressively because it was a larger scope, and they knew that they were not successful on the previous one.
Was there any particular line item that stood out or a trade that stood out?
No, not off the top of my head. I can certainly dig into that and see where we were over on the particular trades, but I don't know that information off the top of my head.
both projects appear to be on schedule, on
So-
time frame.
Yes, so we have, Ms. Emel and her team have spent a lot of time with the contractors to determine what our exposures are for the next year. And we feel very confident that we have contingencies and allowances in our contracts to cover things that may come up. We're out of the ground, if you will, on both projects, where a lot of our exposure is with unsuitable soil. We do feel if we have any unsuitable soil, it would be at East Elementary when we tear the existing building down and put a new parking lot in. But we have allowances in our contract to cover that at the worst case scenario if it happens.
And you're looking for approval of these items. This is an action item, correct? Yeah.
Correct. We're looking for approval to move
I-
this to the school board.
I had a couple questions. So the project cost overage, that's on top of the contingency we already had built into the bond?
We still have a contingency piece in the bond. This is when we leave the contingency as we had it as a percentage and add in the cost of the contract, this is the amount that's over. So we still have some contingency in the bond project. Yes.
Okay. And then anything other than, like, this is a lot of like athletic related items, but anything else that the school feels like they needed educationally related, we've already covered. There was no other
discussed that.
from that aspect.
Correct. We went pretty in depth with administration and feel like as we talked to the designers and the architects, we covered most of the items that from an academic perspective that we felt like were already included in both contracts.
Okay, because like Forest Hills has a ton of CTE programs and they're all,
Yes, we have
okay,
a lot of that equipment has already been included in the project. The stuff that we could do from a contract perspective.
okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
With these additional bond items, is there a contingency built in with those?
There is not. We don't have a contingency for these items. That's something that if approved and we move forward, we would discuss that with the county to see if there's a way we can handle. We feel like we've got these numbers. The numbers are reflective of some internal contingencies. So we're hoping that we've got that piece of it covered.
Okay, because I'm thinking like artificial turf for the stadium, you might hit some bad soil there. Hopefully that's enough money to cover that.
We actually, Mr. Helms, anticipate that, and this number that we have in front of you is reflective of encountering some of that, much like what we did at Piedmont High School.
Okay.
Well, it sure sounds like there's a
Mr.
lot of opportunity for track replacement contractors.
Mr. Moore, this says it generated a $20 million premium and we're spending roughly 15 million. Where's the other 5 going?
So the county would keep that to use it to pay the bond debt, to pay on bond debt. They really, it's their discretion. They could use however much they wanted, but they've indicated to us this 14.6 that we could use for additional projects at the 2 sites. But they would use that to pay down their bond debt.
And do we know how that was calculated?
We do not.
How they chose, you mean to only do the 5 million?
Correct.
Because originally, I think we thought we were getting less.
The
when I
original
First
conversation.
brought this was, I felt like
Yeah.
we thought it'd be less than what
Yeah.
we're getting.
Yes, that was the indication, but I think that through subsequent discussions, they have indicated that, and I think there's the bond premium and maybe some interest that went along with the money as well.
Any other questions?
One last question. Are both of these new facilities built with the capacity for expansion?
Yes. With the increase in the existing capacities.
No, that we could add on to these if additional seating student capacity was needed.
We haven't developed an expansion plan for either project. we have increased the capacities for both facilities above where they are now. I can say almost with certainty that we cannot expand East Elementary because that site is extremely tight as it is. So there's really no way to expand. Forest Hills, we do have more land available, but we have not explored that possibility. If there's an expansion, it would be, I would say it would not, based on the capacities that we've designed for, I don't see that happening for the next 30 to 40 years.
Well, as we all know, there are several developments under consideration in Marshville, and I get questions that if all or any of those move forward, is the new Forest Hills being built to anticipate that additional capacity being needed if all of a sudden, there's a boom on the east side of the county, particularly Marshville.
Yes, I can't answer. The answer to that question is yes. We have anticipated that increased capacity, that increased enrollment.
All right. I'll make a motion that we
Okay.
approve. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Thank you.
I was just going to make a motion to approve these additional projects associated with the overage in the bond premium, totaling $14,627,000 for both East Elementary and Forest Hills High School.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0. Thank you. Mr. Moore, reassignment proposal, second reading.
Yes, ma'am. So in May, we brought you a second reading. Well, back in April, and back up. In April, we presented to you 19 subdivisions that we were considering for reassignment. We, at the May meeting, presented you with 10 of those that we wanted to recommend for the second reading that were subsequently approved by the Board of Education in June. At this meeting, we're presenting to you 6 more of those initial ones that we want to recommend for the second reading to be reassigned as indicated in the memo. There are 3 from the original list that we have discussed extensively with school-based staff, with transportation, and feel like it's in the best interest to leave those as they are assigned. So glad these, as I said, the memo before you today has 6 items for a second reading that we're recommending to move to the full board for review in July, at the July meeting.
And just to confirm, I know it says it here, but there's no current students are affected.
Correct.
If this is approved by the full board, I'm going to anticipate we're going to ask for an updated projections of school capacity and attendance, since we're not going to be able to address all of the schools that we originally proposed or all the neighborhoods. We're going to need to update our school population projection figures and see where we go from there. I anticipate that would be the next step after full board approval on these neighborhoods as well, correct?
Yes, we've actually already initiated those conversations.
Excellent.
And I want to say too, Ms. Emil is doing an amazing job working on this, keeping up with this. I mean, we'll probably have more coming in front of us, in the next couple months, because, there has been a lot of new subdivisions in process, and she's all over this. So I feel confident that we have it under control.
Okay. Just, I don't know what it's being called, but they are moving a lot of dirt on a neighborhood, and I'm not even sure if it's the back of another neighborhood on Secret Shortcut, but it's coming out on James Hamilton at the curve there. They are moving a lot of dirt, and so again, I'm not sure if that's like a construction entrance for the back of a neighborhood being built on Secret Shortcut, but we might want to keep our eye on that in case that's another approval that we're way ahead. That's, like I said, they're moving dirt, but it's nowhere near putting in utilities. So and there's no.
Do you know the name? Is there a sign?
There's no
the
sign
neighborhood?
posted,
Okay.
but it's right at the curve of, I think that's James Hamilton. Is that, I'll send you an email, Colin.
Yeah, I made a note. We'll check into that as well.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I'll
Need a
make
motion to send this?
I'll make a motion to
thanks.
send this to the full board for second reading.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Or
Just to let everybody know that may be watching, the board's approach versus a redistricting is to realign neighborhoods that have yet to be built, that don't have houses on them, to realign them where we have capacity and can make the transportation happen, and see how that affects the long-term school capacity, because Porter Ridge, Piedmont area is heating up, and we're trying to take this first approach before we start talking about adding on to schools or building new schools, to see as best we can project long-term what this would do.
So do we have a motion? Gary, you said?
Yes, in a second.
Okay. So we're good to do. We voted on that. Next
Yep.
would be East Union Middle Architect Selection, Miss Emil.
Good morning. So we have
Good morning.
completed our diligence period associated with the RFQ reviews for the East Union Middle School project. We started with 12 initial submittals, did a first round evaluation, and then we conducted interviews in person with the 6 firms that made their first cut. And based on the criteria we utilized in our rubric, DLR was selected. And so we are excited to be able to move forward with this project.
Have we used these folks on other projects?
We have not. This will be our first time utilizing this firm. However, I believe that Mr. Moore has utilized them in his past experience.
So they have experience in school design.
Absolutely, yes. That was one of the criteria that we utilized in our first round assessment to bring down that number for interviews. We looked at the number of schools that the firm had completed and then several other criteria.
Because this is a rather, well, I don't know how unique it is in the construction world, but this, it's similar, but still it's even a little different than Sun Valley additions and updates. We're taking the old Forest Hills High School and turning it into a middle school. And so I'm sure that was part of your questioning or your query of these candidates, that this is not your run-of-the-mill build a school from the dirt up.
Yes,
And
sir.
And you feel
sorry.
comfortable with them handling this?
Yes, sir. That was part of our discussion. And actually, several of our project managers had the opportunity to visit a site that was similar in nature to this project that they had done previously. So they felt confident in the selection as well.
Excellent.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion. Yeah, or go ahead, Gary, if you want to.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll make the motion to recommend to the full board DLR group for East Union Middle Design.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 4-0. Okay, informational items. Piedmont concession stand update. Miss Emil.
That's actually me, Ms.
that's
Maven.
you.
Yeah, I'll just no memo that goes along with this. I just want to give you an update on where we were. The drawings have been completed. Those have been submitted to the Department of Public Construction and to Union County to try to expedite a permit review. They should be on the street to contractors by the end of this week, and we are anticipating bids to be back toward the end of July, We're giving them about two with the 4th of July holiday, and understand there's vacations. We're giving them a couple extra weeks to price it, but we anticipate having bids back before the end of the month, end of the July.
And how long will it take to construct?
We've had discussions with contractors, Mr. Sides, and we are getting anywhere from 3 to 4 months. We don't see it taking more than 4 months. And if we can get some expediting, we can do it a little bit sooner. So we should have it completed, maybe not at the beginning of the football season, but definitely during football season.
Okay.
So it'll be done before the end of the season.
That's our anticipation, unless we run into some kind of snags with DPI, which we don't anticipate.
Okay.
Does it need like a sewer or water? Is it already there?
There's water. We're building it right beside the existing restroom facility. We'll just need drains for a sink. There are no restrooms going. It's a very, very small building. It's just
Okay.
it's small enough just to kind of handle the some concessions on the visitor side.
So the kids won't have to set up a table. Last season, what they did is they set up a concessions table outside the restrooms over there on the visitor side, which I had real concerns about. So now they'll be in an enclosed, safe structure with electrical rather than running cords and running water.
Correct.
Any other questions? Change orders, Ms. Emo?
Good morning. In front of you, you'll have an update associated with change order 4 and 5 for Forest Hills High School project.
Any questions, anybody?
No.
Now, what is the Z storm line in the football field?
I'm going to have to ask Danny to assist on that one, if he could, please.
I have the answer, but I'm unaware. I do know it did run into existing stormwater line that was there. We do have that force main that comes out of the back of Forest Hills High School. It goes all the way around the track and everything all the way around and back up. And we had it located during preliminary before construction. And then, of course, they ran into some undocumented, unfound storm line, excuse me, near the football field is all it is. So it's just moving it around because of that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, bond updates, Ms. Emo?
And second to the next one, the bond update is presented to you there for both projects, and they are moving forward at a nice steady pace and are both on schedule.
Any questions?
And the weather has obviously been cooperating.
Yeah.
I enjoy seeing the pictures on social media of people under roof in the construction areas. That really starts to hit home that this thing is moving along.
I agree. Surplus, Mr. McManus. Any questions?
Sorry.
Well, it's pretty self-explanatory. Sorry about that. Does anybody have any questions on the list for surplus?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. We are not having a meeting in July, so our next meeting will be August 28th. And I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
4-0. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thank you.